I really only want to do this in one take, but I'm not sure how to start. Normally we don't vlog one-on-one like I'm trying to do now. I've never done that before. We usually just film our travels, film our mods, and hope you all enjoy those. But today it's a different day. Today is 9/11. It's been 18 years. Everybody has their story. And I just thought maybe somebody would like to hear mine. It was a bad day, and yet it was a good day. I worked at a major airport hub in the South. I was the IT manager. I was in charge of all the computers. Although we did everything and anything the airport ever needed us to do. I had a TV in my office. We'd turn it on the news once in a while when we were having a meeting or a break or something, just to kind of, because I'm kind of a news junkie. I didn't have it on that morning because we were kind of busy with some software install. When one of the other employees in our division, or the finance division, came over and said, "Hey, turn your TV on, there's something going on." So we turned it on and went to one of the cable channels, and they were replaying the start of 9/11, of the first plane hitting the tower, or one of the towers. I mean, we were shocked because, gosh, how did an airplane get that low and run into that? And there was probably by then about 8 or 10 people maybe in my office watching, when here comes the second plane, straight into the other tower. We couldn't believe it, but we knew exactly what it was then. And basically everybody in the airport started to panic. We knew something was wrong. We knew it was a terrorist attack. Now what do we do? It wasn't long until we found out. When planes just started appearing out of nowhere and landing at our airport. And we had 2 major north-south runways and 1 east-west at that time. By the time the day was over, all the tarmac was full of nothing but tail sections. The one runway was nose to butt with airplanes everywhere, tail sections everywhere. By then it was probably 5 or 6 o'clock at night. The airport was bustling with, way too many people. So we all pitched in and tried to do what we could do. We got air mattresses, blankets. We had people running out in town to get these things from stores so we could bed people for the night, because we knew it was going to be a long run. It wasn't going to be just one day or one night. A lot of people from town came out with their cars, picked up families, took them into town, and put them up. People just helped out everywhere. We didn't care what our job was, what we were supposed to do. We just jumped in and helped. Well, as you know, it went on for days, and everybody kept that attitude. We kept helping. We'd do everything we could for these people that were standing here. And the one thing I think struck me more than everything, I've been around airplanes most of my life. I was in the Marine Corps and Air Wing, I was in the Navy and Air Wing, so I knew airplanes, loved airplanes, and I loved working at the airport. But really, what got to me was about 5 or 5:30 that night. I went out on the tarmac. I had a badge where I could go anywhere because I had to work on computers. And as I stepped out that door, usually to a lot of noise and you can't hear yourself think, you could hear a pin drop. The workers had all gone and were in the terminal helping. All the airplanes were parked all over the place. Couldn't believe it. Not a sound. It sounded like the death of an airport. Luckily, we didn't die, and luckily, we came back from it, but with a lot more rules and not as much fun when flying. As I was going back in the terminal, I heard something I hadn't heard all day. And that was a loud jet motor. Didn't know what it was coming from, thought all the planes were down. When an F-16 flew over, low altitude. It circled the airport a couple times and then came in for a landing on a north-south to refuel. If it wasn't an F-16 flying around, it was an F-15, and we were constantly under guard, so we felt better. That was the bad part. The good part was everybody helped out. I couldn't believe the amount of people that came from town, picked up people, mostly families with kids, and took them to their houses and put them up for, what was it, a week? Something like that? It's just outstanding. People were smart. We were out of rental cars in 15 minutes after everybody got off those airplanes. One guy came up and wanted to know where Hertz was, or where, where you rent the trucks, U-Haul was. And he had a taxi cab driver take him to U-Haul. And he come back with this huge U-Haul truck, pulled up in front of the airport and threw in his 2 bags and took off for home. Now that's thinking. And all of a sudden light bulbs went off everywhere, and I think the U-Haul place was out of U-Hauls probably in less than a half an hour, 45 minutes. So people knew what to do. Step up, get busy, take care of other people, get home if you can. The people that couldn't get home stayed there. We fed them and provided them a bed, water. Couldn't provide them much to do except we kept going through the terminal, people, a lot of our people checking on them and just making sure that they needed anything. That was my 9/11. I hated it, but I loved it. It brought so many people together. American flags everywhere. Not just around us, but everywhere. People flying over, Navy, Air Force jocks flying overhead, making sure that we were protected. Because nobody really knew what was next. And all the heroes involved. All the heroes at the Pentagon, especially Flight 95. They did it right. They stepped up. They took the hit. They went down with the airplane to make sure that nobody else was hurt. They knew they were going to die anyway, but they stepped up and took that plane out. I wanted to make this video to vlog about it in my words and tell what I did that day and what I saw. I didn't really want to get as much emotional as I did. But it's life, I guess. We all have our memories of that day, and we need to hold on to them. We should never forget. Never.